Hey there, and welcome to Mind and Molecules, Triple Take. In this format, I will be sharing 3 key concepts with you in a short and focused session, quick, clear, and to the point. The goal is to give you practical insights you can apply to your daily life, ideas that might enrich your perspective or help you grow. Today's takeaways are the 80-20 loop, an advanced way to think about effort and results. Multitasking is the new smoking and why it quietly destroys your brain power. And finally, the myth of being busy, because being busy is not a badge of honor. Let's dive right in. Let's start with the 80-20 principle, also known as the Pareto principle. You might have heard of it before, especially if you've spent some time exploring the world of productivity. The idea behind it is this: nearly 100% of the results can often be achieved with just 20% of the effort. That means the remaining 80% of the effort only brings marginal gains. In many cases, those initial 80% of the results are already good enough to get what you want. Now here's where it gets interesting. You can apply the Pareto principle again, this time to the remaining 20%. This creates a kind of a loop, so by investing 20% of your efforts for the remaining 20%, you can squeeze out another 80% of that portion, which is 16%. You are now left with just 4% of the work still undone. And the fascinating part is you can keep repeating this process, this Pareto loop, to get closer and closer to 100% if needed, without ever having to put in the full 100% of effort. Multitasking is the new smoking. What I mean by that is, just like smoking, multitasking steals your time and in a way your life. Let's say you have a task that would normally take up to 2 hours to complete. For most people, it plays out like this. You start working for about 30 minutes and then suddenly your phone rings. Maybe it's a message that seems important or interesting, so you check it. What just happened is called a task switch. You've shifted your focus from work to your phone. Once you're done replying, you have to refocus in order to get back into the workflow. So you work for another 30 minutes and this time an email notification pops up. It looks like something you can quickly respond to, so you do. But again, it's another task switch, and once more you need time and mental energy to refocus afterward. This kind of switching happens again and again throughout the day, and it doesn't just eat into the time you'd spent on the actual task. It also wastes time on switching between tasks, refocusing, and handling those interruptions themselves, like writing a message or replying to an email. So in the end, you're not just losing time on your main task, you're losing time threefold: on task switching, on refocusing, and on the distractions themselves. And it's these 3 that quietly rob you of your time. So the key takeaway here is you need to reduce task switching. How do you do that? By removing the things that cause you to switch tasks in the first place. When you eliminate those triggers, like notifications, messages, or anything that tempts you to jump into a different task, you also eliminate the need to constantly refocus. And that's because you're simply not doing those different tasks anymore. At the end of the day, the most essential thing is just do the work. Focus on one thing you're supposed to be doing and nothing else. Like Shia LaBeouf famously said, just do it. Don't juggle 100 things at once. It wastes your time, drains your energy, and slows everything down. Let's move on to the next point. Being busy is not a badge of honor. What do I mean by that? Doing 100 things every day doesn't necessarily mean you're making meaningful or targeted progress. Just being active doesn't automatically lead to actual development. Let's say you want to become a scientist. You might decide to start every morning with a cold plunge, then hit the gym, go cycling, do some bouldering, maybe some gymnastics, dance to relax and practice yoga, study and read a bunch of books. Now, while all of that sounds productive, the truth is, spreading yourself that thin doesn't necessarily move you closer to your goal. What really matters is aligning daily activities with your main goal and constantly checking with yourself. Which of these activities are actually bringing me closer to becoming the person I want to be? Once you know that, you can start prioritizing accordingly. Maybe that means starting your day with deep breathing or studying, because that's what truly moves the needle, and then letting the other activities support that core priority instead of distracting from it. Of course, it is still important to work out, do cold plunges, or take time to relax, but those things should never replace the work that truly matters, the work that actually brings you closer to your goal. Because let's be honest, doing cold plunges, working out, dancing, and meditating all day won't make you a scientist, for this example, if you never sit down to study. Let's quickly recap today's triple take, the 80-20 loop. Don't just work hard, work smart on the smart parts and loop the leverage. Do less, twice, get almost everything. Multitasking is the new smoking. Multitasking wastes more than it saves, so focus and protect your focus as good as you can. And last, busyness doesn't mean that you're productive. Doing more isn't the goal. Doing what matters is. So match your actions to your goals. That's it for today's episode. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen up to this point. If you have any feedback, suggestions, or ideas for what I could improve in the next video, or if there are any specific topics around chemistry or psychology that you'd like me to dive into, feel free to let me know in the comments. Have a great day and see you next time. Ciao.